Now, when it comes to calisthenics and handstands, there's no denying that it's very beneficial to have long hamstrings for press handstand, for L-sit, for splits, toes to bar. So today I'm going to take you through my favorite hamstring exercises, from the easiest ones to the hardest ones. These are ones I personally use myself and I use with clients and in my classes. Now, number one is where we should start. So we need to do an assessment to check we can get 90 degrees at the hip. So you see in that position with the knees locked backwards, my lower back is flat. If we find we're round in that position and we struggle to touch the toes, then we need to start off with a position like this. Now, this could be a doorway. We need just a post or a pole going up. I need to be able to have this leg flat on the floor, and I'm going to place this leg up at that position. So notice I'm at 90 degrees at the hip now. This leg is all down on the floor, and my head and spine is all laying down. Now, in that position, ideally, I should be able to get butt to the wall or butt to the door frame or the post or whatever I'm using, and it not lifting me up. Now, if it lifts me up and twists me, then I need to move myself further away until I can find a point that I can lay there comfortably, but I feel a good stretch in the hamstring. And then to progress this one, all I do is I slowly move in that direction to make the stretch harder and harder. And the cool thing with this one is I can spend 5, 10, 20 minutes in this position and just relax. To wind it up a little bit more, I can stick a band over the ball of my foot, pull down. So now I'm involving the calf a lot more. And I can hold that position. And obviously don't forget the other side. Now, the beauty of this one is that it's nice and easy on the spine. It's not aggressive, and it isolates left and right hand side. So if you do have any injuries, disc pathologies, or just very, very tight, I'd add that into your daily routine. Do it before you go to bed and do it before you exercise. Then we have the standing version. So I place the foot up on the box. Again, aiming for around 90 degrees at the hip. I want to make sure with this one that the hips are facing forward, so I've got square hips. The knee is locked backwards, and to start with, my torso is nice and upright. If I'm in this position, we probably want to go back to that wall version and start there. Progress to it till we get to this point. Once we can stand up in a nice position like that, I'm actually going to pull the hip backwards. So see, I'm drawing the hip back towards me, which is winding up more through the hamstring. If I flex the foot, I can get into the calf, and then I'm going to start to lean forwards. Now, first of all, I'm just going to try and place both hands on my calf, see if I can get to my ankle, and if I have the range, I can grab hold of my foot, pull the foot backwards towards dorsiflexion, which is going to really tie in the calf with the hamstring. Again, make sure we do both sides. And with any of these stretches where we're starting to lean forwards with the movement, we want to make sure that our head is going forwards towards the toes, not towards the knee. So a common mistake is to try and get the nose to knee or forehead to knee, which rounds our spine. We want to think more about lengthening through the spine, so the chest is actually coming towards the knee and the head is going towards the toes. Now, a very similar one is to come down into a lunge position. I use this one a lot when I'm warming up handstands, when I don't have a lot of equipment around me, because it's a nice easy one on the floor and carries over nicely to splits as well. So I set up in a lunge position, I straighten this front leg, lock the knee back as far as I can, make sure this back hip is on top of the back knee. Then I'm going to pull the hip backwards, take my hands down, put my hands on the shin. If that's easy, I can take fingers to the floor. If that's easy, palms to the floor, and then eventually walking the hands forwards as far as I can. Now again, if that's easy and I can reach the foot, I can grab hold of the foot, pull it back towards me. I'm going to wind that calf up again with that hamstring. And with that same intention, I'm taking my head towards my toes and my chest more towards the knee. Don't forget that other side. Then we can look at our standard forward fold position. So now we're going to stretch both legs at the same time. So I'm going to lock the knees backwards, and then I'm just going to hang down towards the floor. Now, I like with this one to cross the arms and try and pull the elbows down towards the toes while pulling them knees backwards. And if you are comfortable here, I'm a big fan of doing little bounces in this position as well. Now, if your body doesn't like that one, definitely don't do the bounces, and even go back to one of the other versions that keeps the spine flat and works on more of this neutral position, coming up and down. You could do like a standard good morning position, keeping the back neutral. Grab hold of the skin on your low back and make sure you can hold that as you go up and down. And that isolates the movement just to the hamstrings and takes it out of the back completely. Now, if you are very conditioned to this forward fold position, we can wind it up even more with one of my favorites that uses the wall. Now, with this one, I want to get nice and close to the wall. I'm going to have bent knees. I'm going to come in from the side. Still with bent knees, I'm going to pull myself into the position, get the head as low as I can towards the floor, and then holding onto the ankles, going to straighten the legs, and then from there I can shuffle myself down even closer towards the floor. Now this one's very intense. We want to make sure the stretch is being felt in the calves and the hamstrings, and you shouldn't feel like your head is being pushed into the wall. It should be between your back and your hamstrings. Now a nice dynamic version of the forward fold is the inchworm, so you can walk it out towards your top of the push-up position. You can even wind it up even more and take the hands further out. And then I'm just going to walk in as close as I can to my hands, keeping my knees locked backwards, keeping the palms pushed hard into the floor, and just see how close you can walk in to your hands. Now wherever you feel the stretch, stay there for a few seconds before you walk the hands out again. And if it's easy, I can bend the elbows and then just walk out again. Next is the Jefferson curl. Now the Jefferson curl is a great movement because it not only works the hamstrings, the calves, but it also gets into the articulation of the spine. So I'm going to start at the top. I'm going to have soft knees to start with. So I'm going to start off with the spine. I'm going to take chin to chest. I'm going to roll down through the upper back, through the mid back, then through the low back as I start to come down. I'm going to lock the knees backwards now, and then just carry on that forward fold position as deep as I can, pulling the fingers to the floor. Now there I can touch the floor, so I'd either use a higher box now, or I can go into more of a fist position and just pull down as deep as I can. So if I'm flexible here, I'm not only feeling the stretch in the calves, in the hamstrings, but also through the low back. So it's actually a low back lengthening exercise when you have long enough hamstrings and calves to feel that. To get back out of the movement, I bend the knees and I roll through the spine again, low back, mid back, upper back, and stand nice and tall. Now as you become more comfortable with this one, you can start to load it. So here I'm using a 20 kilo bar. I personally wouldn't go much more than 20 kilos, but you'll sometimes see gymnasts using even up to body weight with this exercise. Okay, same thing. So start nice and soft with the knees, chin to chest, round through the upper back, through the mid back, through the low back, lock the knees backwards, and then go as deep as you can there. Hold for a few seconds. You could add those little bounces again if you're comfortable. And then to come back up, bend the knees through the low back, through the mid back, through the upper back, stand nice and tall. And then to my current favorite, but only if you have good conditioned calves, hamstrings, and forward fold position, we can really wind things up with this Zercher position. I think that's how you say it, Zercher. So this is going to get into the lats and triceps just by holding it like this. And then I'm going to raise the feet up on these yoga blocks to get into some dorsiflexion. I'm going to reach my toes up as well. And I'm going to see if I can get my elbows towards my toes. Holding that position, I'm going to do some bounces, which obviously really winds it up. So you really need to be conditioned before you do this one. And when I come out of that one, I definitely got my biggest range. I can get elbow to toe comfortably, and I'm opened up, ready to do whatever exercises I'm going to train. So I recommend you use that as a bit of an assessment. Start with the easiest variation and slowly progress through them. You want to find the one that's challenging, but still allows you to do some good work in sets. And for most people, you're looking at 1 to 2 hamstring exercises to fit into your program. I definitely wouldn't be doing all of those. Definitely listen to your body, and if any of them don't feel right, back off to an easier version. And make sure you're stretching the rest of the body as well, especially the upper back, thoracic area, the quads and the hip flexors. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll speak to you next time. Thanks, guys.